All right.
It's on. It's on?
I apologize. That's no problem. We'll seat up there.
Yes, sir.
Have a seat, Cliff. Reading some memorandums here. Apparently you had a conversation with Detective Gouliot yesterday regarding the Kara Nichols case.
That's true.
Okay. The Chief and I are in here to talk to you about that, and obviously more than one individual has written memorandums about Kara Nichols, and this particular one raises some concerns for me, so you need to tell me exactly what that conversation was and exactly what you said.
Okay. Just tell you right now?
Mm-hmm.
Tammy called, apologized for bothering me on my day off, said it was no problem. Tammy's one of my favorites, so we BS'd a little bit about, I said, don't worry girl, you're one of my favorites. She said, she said, as you know, Mr. Nichols was here again. She said, do you recognize the name, the Haggard House? I said, no. Then she started to describe it, provide some details. I said, yeah, I think I do. I said that me and somebody, I think, went to a house, if it's the same house we're talking about, that there's a grandma living in one house, a kid living in another, and that we went out there, we did a search on the house, made sure there was no murder scene or whatever. I didn't think, but something about the kid who had just lived there, or had lived there and had a relationship with Kara Nichols, didn't live there anymore, and that the kid we contacted admitted that Kara had flopped there and stuff, but wasn't the kid that had the close relationship with Kara. She said, was I supposed to do the sup? I said, I don't know. I said, I'll be honest, that case was burning me the hell out. It is possible that I was one who was supposed to do the sup. If I made the mistake, that's my bad. I said, I'll make sure I get you a sub, Tammy. I apologize. It's not going to be as good as if I had, done it when all that stuff happened. I said, I'll tell you, it was frustrating to me every time there was a press release or, something happened back then. There'd be this big explosion of activity, and then the activity would go away, and, it'd be like, hey, look, that's a missing person, not a criminal case. The criminal stuff has to get priority. And I said, I think I probably used some explicatives, and I said that case was burning me the hell out. I said, maybe after all the effing craziness around this office changes on Saturday, that maybe somebody would finally just say, look, this is a cold case, this girl's probably dead, we're going to work the leads, but we're going to shelve this thing, and we won't overreact every time Mr. Nichols comes in. I said that I didn't miss that case. I said
let me back up. After all the effing craziness, and you can feel free to use whatever expletives you want in here, because I know you use that word constantly, so you don't need to
You're
protect.
My boss, man. I don't want it.
You used it when I was your boss back in investigations all the time as well. I sat right outside your office, I know. Or you sat right outside mine. So you don't need to pull any punches with me, Cliff. I don't really care whether you use that
I
word.
can tell you're upset. So
But no, I'm not upset. I'm trying to get to the bottom of something because obviously someone felt it was important enough to rise it clear through the chief that just notified me of it and handed me memorandums that they wrote about your statements. So obviously some other people were concerned enough about it that, they just brought it to my attention. I'm not upset at all. I want to get to the bottom of it. I want you to define or explain to me what you meant by after all the effing, if that's the word you used, or whatever craziness is over on Saturday and people overreacting, maybe we'll shelve this case. And I also, well, I'll let you answer that first.
Man, my perspective has been with all the political stuff that's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it seems crazy around. People seem worried and frustrated and like, why? I mean, guys on patrol are worried about this and that, and it just seems nuts, man.
And you haven't played a part in that and made any statements regarding that to anybody?
Ma'am, I just meant it as a general craziness. I have a candidate I'm supporting, obviously, and all that stuff, but I just meant as a general, I was glad the process was going to be done. Whatever decision was going to be made, there would be something done on Saturday, and maybe we'd all take a deep breath.
Well, Cliff, you haven't been involved in this case for how long now? And every time Paul Nichols comes in, how do you know what's going on? I'll tell you right now that I'm not getting any pressure every time Paul Nichols comes in from the sheriff or the undersheriff. And I'm not putting any pressure on Tammy or John or anybody to get the case solved. We're just following up on the tips like you would with any other case that's a cold case, whether it's a missing person or not. I mean, obviously, because of the stuff that's been going on with this case, we'd like to find out what happened to her, if nothing else.
Sir,
So what kind of craziness is that causing anybody to go through?
I don't even know when Paul Nichols is coming in. I have no idea when he's coming.
Tammy told me
So Tammy was complaining to you about Paul Nichols coming in and the craziness with the political process in the office?
Man, she's probably one of the hardest working, best detectives.
I absolutely concur with you, without any question whatsoever.
Yeah,
I'm trying to clarify, based on what I'm reading and what you're saying, because they don't quite match up. I'm trying to clarify. So Tammy was talking to you about the craziness of the political process.
No, I did that, man.
Okay. Tammy was just trying to get information from you.
Yes.
And so you brought the political process in and the craziness of the political process.
I said Saturday. I just said Saturday. I said maybe after Saturday everybody will take a deep, all this effing craziness will be over. We can. Said after whatever the political process, craziness, whatever term you use, the Nichols will get a letter telling them no more is being done on their daughter's case because it's a cold case, and that's that. So would you like to call Mr. Nichols up and tell him that on our behalf? No, I'm asking you seriously, Cliff. I'm trying to engage in a conversation with you because you're a very smart guy. And I've had a lot of respect for you over the years. You forget, I've known you for many years. I supervised you, and I've never given you any grief. College courses for
and I had a lot of respect for you and still do. But I certainly am shocked when people who like you, who are your coworkers, feel compelled to tell what's going on and what you're saying. It's I guess it's so disappointing to me because I sat here, and as the chief very eloquently stated, you've been out of there a while. You apparently made a choice to leave there. Nobody forced you out of there. And I respect that. You do a good job on patrol, or have done as far as I know. And you're sitting there making judgments about the craziness and implicating that it's the political process. Tammy Gouliot's doing what Tammy Gouliot feels she needs to do. And there's cases that frustrate everybody. There's cases that frustrated you, and I can name them when you were back there, and it wasn't just this case.
No, you bet,
and I heard you talk about it when I was back there. And, that tells me that detectives are concerned. They want to do a good job with the case. And I'll tell you what, I sure don't want to be the one that call Mr. Nichols up and make a statement like you've made that's written in here.
Can I ask, did Tammy put in there? Because I think she would say, and we were bitching and moaning, she said that I said, I felt frustrated because, I would get told this was a priority, then I'd have to work it, it would pile up, then I'd get told, no, look, this is just a missing persons case, and I'd have to move on, and Tammy
Cliff,
agreed.
you're a smart guy. My gosh, that's the nature of the business.
No, I know.
You've been a cop for how many years now?
Almost 18.
Okay. I've been here 29 years, and I don't know a day probably, in any position to include this one as evident by my office, that one thing is a priority one day, and sometimes it has to get set aside because another priority comes in. It's 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and guess what I'm doing? I had other priorities to be dealing with today, too.
And I was bitching, kind of had to bitch into it. I didn't.
I'm just kind of, I don't know. Chief,
The
I'm
thing
shocked.
that frustrates me is, Cliff, is come Monday, after Saturday, the sheriff's gonna walk in here on Monday, Undersheriff's gonna walk in here on Monday, I'm gonna walk in here on Monday. And we're gonna keep
We got 9
business
months.
until January
No, I
of
agree,
next
sir.
year.
I wasn't speaking to the outcome. I was just saying the political. Sir,
Yeah, I know, but the
Apparently
comment
you
was,
were.
Saturday, we're gonna send Paul Nichols a letter. Well, the three of
Sir,
us aren't, and I know Tammy's not, and we're gonna keep following up on the leads as they come in. It's not a priority, it's not being pressured as a priority, but it's just like anything else. If a lead comes in, you follow up on it.
You bet,
can't
sir.
let it sit around and sit for a couple weeks or a month or till January
I
of
screwed
15,
up.
right?
I screwed up.
How many supplements have you not done on this case? That's a whole nother issue, but I need to ask you that question. How many supplements have you not done on this case that you should have done?
I thought I did them all.
Okay. And according to the statements, which I think were written pretty quickly after you had a conversation, says when Tammy says she doesn't understand what you're talking about, this whole political process. She's just like, what are you talking about on Saturday? Why are you saying this, more or less? And you say something to the effect that, well, yeah, after Saturday. However, it won't be until the beginning of the year until the changes actually take place. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's accurate, ma'am. I think what I told Tammy, she did ask about, what do you mean Saturday? And I said, it's the assembly. At least there'll be a decision.
Wow. I guess what concerns me even more at this point in time is you're on the road, and I question your ability to make decisions out there based on your attitude. Well, I thought you did, but apparently, a simple phone call with...
Because how much of that is being said to the different guys on your team right now? Say, guys, don't worry about that, don't worry about this, or whatever the lieutenant says at briefing.
Sir,
Don't worry about that, because after Saturday, it's going to be different.
I don't do that.
I hope not.
Ask my trainees, sir.
But
I'm
you're quick to do that on the telephone to somebody that you really like.
I love Tammy. She's one of the best.
She is. And you're quick to say that. And this is what's said.
It's felt
I was
crazy.
terrified. What?
It's felt crazy around here, ma'am. And I said that.
It's faux crazy around here.
I said it's felt crazy around here.
Based on what? Deputies being scared? That's all you've told me so far. So explain. You know what? Deputies being scared and concerned about their job, that happens frequently, obviously, depending on the climate and what's going on and what they're dealing with in their lives, in their personal lives. If I recall back, there was a day when you were pretty damn concerned about your job and what was going on in your personal life and, all of the stresses that you went through, if I recall correctly.
Talking about what Jerry did.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about that case, but what I do know is that you were pretty stressed about that.
Yeah.
And you were stressed about your job here and all of those things. So,
It was immoral, so it was...
What's that?
I said it was, I felt like it was immoral, and so I felt bad.
Okay, well, I don't know about anything about Jerry Day other than the incident that happened that night. So, and I'm not getting into that. My point is that deputies, it's an ebb and flow with deputies. So to say things are, effing crazy, as you term it, because that's what you say around here, I don't, that's pretty dramatic. As far as I know, and I monitor it pretty closely, and so does Chief Harmon, people are doing their jobs out there, and they're for most part, most of them are doing a pretty good job. And they come to work every day, and all they want to do is make this office proud and do a good job for this office. And yet, a guy who has a great record as a detective, a guy who I've had a lot of respect for, meaning you over the years, make a statement about this, which is absolutely insubordinate to this office and is insubordinate to the sheriff. Because after Saturday, all this craziness will go away. Well, changes won't be made till the beginning of the year. Well, I'll tell you right now, Cliff, if things are so bad right now, you're welcome to make changes. You can do that. Pull out your commission card. Pull out your commission card. What is the date on that commission card? And whose name is on it?
It's Sheriff Maketa's.
And what's the date on it? When it expires?
1/13/2015.
What's today's date?
March 20th. March 20th.
Have a seat. And so you said I was upset earlier. I wasn't upset, but I'm getting upset because the more I sit here and listen to you talk about its craziness out there, you're actually implicating that, the deputies are running around and they're more concerned about, their jobs, which I don't believe that for a minute, because there isn't a deputy here whose job has been threatened, regardless of what you think, about politics. So yeah, you're welcome to talk politics right now.
Ma'am, I made that statement about the Saturday. The part about the letter, I didn't say a letter, but the part about Saturday, I absolutely
tell
said.
Nichols, okay, not a letter, telling them no more is being done on their daughter's case because it's a cold case and that's that. Would you like to call Mr. Nichols and tell him that?
No, ma'am, I wouldn't. I'd be embarrassed.
Who would you like to call him then? After Saturday or after the beginning of the year, should we have you call him then?
Ma'am, it was a shitty thing to say. It was a shitty thing to say.
And you talk about the craziness that's going on with deputies. Why do you think it is? It's because of people like you who make statements like that, who have created people to write a page and a quarter memo when I'm betting she's got better things to do with her time.
You're right. Right. And I'm sorry I put Tammy in that spot. I didn't mean to put Tammy in that spot. She's awesome.
If you were Paul Nichols and that was your daughter, you wouldn't want to be getting that call,
Sir,
would you?
I love my
Would you?
job. I wouldn't want that call.
Absolutely, you wouldn't want that call.
Tammy was, and I thought sharing frustration. I did not mean to make her feel like she wouldn't be allowed to work a case that's important to her.
So Tammy's frustrated about the politics in the office?
No, she was frustrated. Tammy doesn't, I don't even think she cares. One little bit. Tammy.
No, because she wants to do her job, and she cares about doing the job, which most all of us do.
Ma'am, so do I. I know, I do. I love my job. I love my job. And I'm sorry that I put Tammy in that spot. I'm sorry that I made the comment about Saturday. It's hard.
You're sorry you made the comment, or you're sorry you're just sitting in here talking to me about it and got caught?
No, I'm sorry about both. Nobody wants to get caught or yelled at. I've never been in.
Am I yelling at you?
Not. It's the wrong word.
I don't think you've ever really seen me yell.
That's probably true, ma'am. Nobody wants to. I've never been in a sheriff's office or I didn't even know where your office was, ma'am, because
it's probably a good thing.
I agree. I did not mean it. I did not mean it as some sort of. It just. So, like, when everything was happening with Chuck Cole on day shift, and he was coming in all flustered and fired up, I was one of the ones that called Chuck and told him to knock it the fuck off, to stop acting like, and my words to him were actually that Sheriff Maketa probably spends more time scratching himself than thinking about Chuck Cole during his fucking work day, and that as important as Chuck thinks he is, he ain't that fucking important, and to knock it off. And then I dared him to a DUI competition to try to get his mind off us. I said, knock off the fucking bullshit, go out there, let's do what we do. I mean, but I'm friends with some of the folks, and I'm friends with, I was friends with Chuck, I was friends back in the day with Ray and everything, and there was whispers that would happen, and it felt...
whispers?
Yeah, I mean, rumors. There's rumors, ma'am, there's rumors. And so, you know, that, oh, they were getting, and the truth is, I know Chuck called me himself and said, look, this has nothing to do with politics. I went into Commander King's office and fucking went off and I bought this ticket. Chuck's, you know, said that to me. So, ma'am, I
wonder if Chuck added all the other stuff about how he sat in my office and in the sheriff's office, and we supported him through every trial and tribulation he had, to the degree that when he had some financial dire straits, we offered to pay him, give him money so he could get taken care of what he needed to get taken care of. So, you know, when everybody wants to talk about the rumors, Cliff, I don't have any trouble setting the record straight with those folks, because I'll tell you what, I like Chuck Cole too. I liked him and supported him to the degree that gave him 1 chance, 2 chance. He sat in my office and said, right, I appreciate it. Appreciate you giving me another chance. Absolutely, Chuck, you're absolutely capable of doing your job. So that's what you don't know that goes on behind the scenes, Cliff, but yet you're so quick to not think that you do not think that the sheriff and I, who invested how many years in this office? 29 for me, 27 for him. How many for you, Al? 30-some?
30.
Do you not think that we are trying to do the best thing for those citizens out there?
I do, ma'am. I have...
We'd love to not hear
Sheriff
about
Maketa's,
politics in the office.
I have the NRA magazine hung up in my in my room. I'm not. I was. I.
But
that's
yet,
not my politics.
You're so
I mean,
quick
I would
to make these statements. That's what's so confusing to me, Cliff, and so disappointing is you say this in this office, but yet you say something else on the telephone to somebody.
It's, ma'am, I wasn't trying to make a
like we don't have to put up with this. You know, come the beginning of the year, we're not going to have to put up with this crap.
Look, ma'am, I admit that I framed my words stupid, and that I'm smarter than that, and I bought this ticket. I get it. I'm not going to say that I didn't. I didn't mean that statement as some sort of, I did not mean that as some sort of political endorsement. I just meant that on Saturday some sort of decision would be made, and there'd be at least a breath. You know, then people would know, and it would be like, you know.
Tammy was calling you about a case about a girl who was missing or dead. We don't know.
I know, but
she's
said
calling
she
you
was
about a
thinking
case.
Leaving detectives. She thought about leaving detectives too over this case, and that
over
she
this case.
Yeah, that
and
she
you
shared my
have to talk
frustration.
about politics when she's just trying to get answers from you, who didn't even write a supplement on something you should have written a supplement on. But you have to say, oh, all the effing craziness that goes on with the politics and stuff. And Tammy's like, what? What are you talking about? I'm calling you regarding a missing person or somebody who's potentially dead. I'm just trying to get information so I can do what I need to do with this case, not because the chief is threatening her to do something with it, not because the commander is threatening her, or the lieutenant, or the sergeant. I mean, I can name them all, and I can bet you not one of them has gone to Tammy Gouliot, because nobody has to go to Tammy Gouliot and tell her how to do her job, because Tammy Gouliot, she just does her job. She doesn't allow politics to play into it. She doesn't allow rumor mill. She doesn't allow gossip. Excuse me?
I made this.
Are you telling me you don't allow politics to play into it? You're going to sit here and say that to me.
I'm saying that I'm sorry about that statement. It wasn't meant as a. It was not meant as like a hardcore political statement. It was just meant as and I didn't mean to put Tammy in that spot. I didn't mean to make, I feel terrible that I made Tammy feel that way. I feel terrible. Tammy is, she's one of my favorite people.
I know you've said that.
And I'm sorry, I screwed up, man. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it the way that I understand what you're saying. I do. I'm not a dummy. I get it. And I'm supposed to know communications. I pride myself on knowing the power of words. I don't know what else to say, man. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I didn't screw up. I'm not going to say that it wasn't wrong. I'm sorry. I can tell you I didn't mean it as some sort of political endorsement.
I'm not saying you're talking about it as a political endorsement. What you're saying is that I never said that. You're the one that keeps saying that, so it must be in your mind. It's not in my mind. I'm not talking about political endorsement. What I'm talking about is you're talking about how deputies, and I find it hard to believe, Cliff, I will tell you this. Of everything I've told you, I've had respect for you and the work that you've done. I find it very hard to believe that Tammy Gouliot is the only deputy that you have talked to or detective that you've talked to about the effing craziness of the politics around here and people settling down, and you can feel it on the street. And I bet you, if you give me 24 hours, I'll have you back in here with names of people who say that you've been talking about it. And the thing is, people just want to do their job, Cliff, and whether you think so or not, they're not liking you too much, and they're not liking your mouth too much. That's the bottom line. And you talk about Chuck Cole, I like Chuck Cole a lot too, but it's pretty damn sad when a brand new deputy leaves this office over personal circumstances, life circumstances with his family that he had to leave. Hadn't been here that long and said, I love this office, and this office is a great office, and I haven't been here that long. And he worked patrol, and he said, but you know what? Deputy Cole sure brought the morale down in patrol because all he could do was talk about politics.
It's Corey Shelburne, I know you're talking about. Corey and I have stayed friends.
And how sad. And guess what, Cliff? If you don't think that other people walk around talking about that stuff every time you open your mouth like this, they do.
But ma'am, I haven't been running around. Ma'am, I didn't even have a strong opinion on stuff. I threw my hat, like, I generally don't even do the delegate thing. I did the delegate thing back when John Newsom was running for DA. And that was the only other time I've even done the delegate thing. And when I initially threw my hat in the ring for, helping on that stuff, it had only to do with it was going to be between a fireman and a cop.
I don't care, Cliff. I don't care. You're missing the whole point here, apparently. For some guy who's an expert in communication, you're not listening very well. And part of communication is not only talking, but listening. And you keep going back to, I'm not endorsing, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is people trying to do their job. And I got news for you. For the next 9 months, if I can do anything about it, that's what I'm going to do, is do my job. Because why? I have pride in this office. It's not about me. It's not even about him. It's about El Paso County Sheriff's Office and those citizens who deserve good service out there. And it's about Mr. Nichols, who deserves an answer. And I'm thinking the answer that you would like to give him, being cocky, talking to a coworker, is not the answer that would be the appropriate answer to give the man.
I fucked up, man.
And the bottom line is, that's what I'm talking about, is people doing their job rather than saying, hey, in 9 months, we don't have to worry about it anymore. Things will change. Because I got news for you, Cliff. If you haven't been involved with sheriffs changing over the years, I can tell you sheriffs get in office and they look at things and go, wow, I really wasn't completely informed on all this stuff, and this is not the direction we're going to go. So I don't know what direction you've been told that they're going to go with missing persons and cold cases, and really I don't care because I won't be here then. But the bottom line is, I will care as a citizen. And as a citizen, I expect a certain service. And in the next 9 months, I will do everything I can to make sure that we continue to do what we have the reputation for doing. And that is our job. And that includes you, that includes me, that includes him, and everybody else in this office. And we don't need to be hearing things like this. Well, in 9 months, we won't have to do this. In 9 months, we won't have to do that. In 9 months, we can just throw all this crap out the window and start new. I got news for you. It doesn't work that way.
I know, man.
I've been here 29 years. I know.
I've always felt supported by you guys. I have no...
Yeah, we've never gotten crosswise with each other.
And I feel, I feel supported by you guys. I just got an award. I get treated well here. I love my job here. I've never felt that anything but support here. I've never had that kind of...
Then why do you make a statement of, in 9 months, we don't have to worry about this?
That I didn't manage.
Well, I'm summarizing. Oh, well, Saturday the answer will be there, but, nothing will change until January. Well, okay, then tell me, what's the magical date about January that everything's going to change concerning missing persons and investigations? Because I don't know. I'm clueless, so tell me.
Ma'am, I don't think I said that. I said the Saturday. I did say the Saturday thing.
You then clarified and said something to the effect, well, yeah, after Saturday. However, it won't be until the beginning of the year, until the changes actually take place. You know what I mean.
If you could ask Tammy to clarify that, I bet she would. And she asked me, what do you mean on Saturday? And I said, the county assembly. And she said, what's the county assembly?
Yeah, that's all before.
Okay.
But then
And
you clarify and
said,
say.
and she said, well, I thought the election wasn't until January. I said, no, that's when everything happens is in January, but the county assembly is on Saturday.
All because she called up and just
Man,
needed some information on Kara Nichols. Glad you can sleep easy at night when you make statements like that, because I'll tell you what, this kind of stuff keeps me awake all night when I think of citizens out there who have deputies responding to their houses, like you, or anybody else, who decide, hey, all I have to do is bide my time, and in 9 months things will change.
Man, that's not, I love being a detective. I miss it every day of my life. I miss it.
And why were you a
It's the
detective?
best job
What do you
I've ever
believe
had.
your job was as a detective, Cliff?
Catch bad guys. Bring justice for citizens.
Thank you. I was going to say, if all you say is catch bad guys, I'm really starting to question you.
No, I used to tell people when I was...
I like catching bad guys too, but what's it about? It's about...
Closure for this. It's the closest we can get. We never get them closure, but it's the closest we can
That's
get.
right. Have you ever been a victim of a crime? Of a serious crime? Violent crime?
Well, I mean, my dad, when I was... I mean, you know the situation, I'm sure, from my father, as a kid. My dad shot at my mom and little brother. When the SWAT team hit the house, my dad took his own life. It was...
It was traumatic.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for that. But that's probably a lot of where you developed a lot of
It's a
your
huge
beliefs
part.
about law enforcement.
Yeah.
Of, you know
No,
what?
I got treated righteously, and a man by the name of Ron Borges, who's a cop, since passed away. You know.
And that's probably why you became the cop that you became, because you believed in treating people righteous and justice
Ma'am, I'm
for
embarrassed
citizens.
about it. I'm sorry. At a level I can't describe. I'm worried about the trouble I'm going to get in, but in addition to that, I am sorry. And I'm sorry that, not just for the statement, I'm sorry for putting people that Tammy I don't just respect. I mean, I care about Tammy. And she's good. I mean, she's better. She used to come to me for advice, and I'd laugh and say, Tammy, you're better than me. You don't need to be out, you're better than me. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and
So I guess I can have confidence that you're not out there with an attitude of, in 9 months things are going to change, so I could just bide my time right now. If it's a complicated case or a case that's not easy to solve, or a victim that frankly
I like
is
complicated cases,
or a
man.
victim who's a pain in the butt, as you kind of characterize Mr. Nichols, and as
Mr. Nichols was frustrating to me. He was. That I get it. He's advocating for his daughter. I get that. He was.
Have you ever had a
frustrated.
missing child?
I can't even imagine. I haven't.
Think you might be a little bit frustrated if you felt that law enforcement wasn't doing everything you wanted them to do?
No, absolutely, ma'am. I don't want to have.
And I'm not defending Mr. Nichols. I don't even know him, and I don't
They
even
do
know.
goofy stuff, man.
I know.
It would be
I know.
frustrating.
I know,
That
but
was-
exactly. But
Kinda
you
like
don't know
our
what.
employees do goofy ass stuff, huh? Like one sitting right there.
Sir, I'm sorry. You supported me at one of the darkest times. You had my back, and
You know what? I kept it there too.
sir, and I know I.
And that's the payback I get. That, well, things will change Saturday.
Sir, that's not what.
Come January, we won't be dealing with this kind of bullshit because he's just a victim who lost his daughter. Do you know what it's like for people to have hope? Jerry Day
I
didn't have
didn't
any
mean it
hope,
to
and I
sound
gave
like
him
that,
hope.
sir.
That's how important it is.
I didn't mean it to
And
sound.
I've never done anything to you, Cliff.
Sir, you have actually. The one time
No,
I really
nothing
needed
negative.
you. No, I
I've
meant
never done
positive.
anything
You
negative.
Nor have
backed
I.
me 100%, and sir, I didn't mean that. I mean, you got my. I mean, this is just bizarre because I didn't mean it to be. I mean, I didn't mean it to be a negative on this office like that. I mean, I still have the office's back in a big way. Sir, I was one of the ones. I know you're not associated with it, but the sheriff or governor stuff. I was big about that. I'm a big gun guy, and I'm proud as hell. I mean, that's not what I meant that way. That is not what I meant that way.
Well, that kind of attitude fits in good with CSPD. Maybe you ought to go.
Sir, I don't want to go to CSPD.
And Tammy
I
doesn't
never
lie.
wanted to go there.
That's the kind of attitude they have.
Tammy doesn't lie either.
No, I would never. Tammy does not.
Tammy remembers conversations like they're embedded in her brain. And you know what? Must have bothered her enough to tell somebody about
I
it.
agree. I'm sorry. I put Tammy in that.
I'm tired of listening to you say how sorry you are about putting Tammy in that position. You put an office in the position.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Cliff, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I go talk to your sergeants and fellow deputies,
Yeah.
am I going to hear more shit like that? Because I've
No,
already
sir.
been told to go talk to Lieutenant Matson, Sergeant Schaller, Sergeant Getzkow, Liz Brown, of comments they've overheard with you shit talking. So can you look me in the eye and say, absolutely not?
And
They
you
won't
better
give
be
me
honest,
anything I've
Cliff,
said
because
to
if he
Spur.
finds out otherwise,
I'm
it's
trying
not
to
going to
think
be
if I
pleasant.
talked any shit or said that, but sir,
I mean, I'm giving you names. I'm not making them up.
I have never said a word to Matson. Wait, I take that back. I did say, I made the comment about craziness when Chuck Cole left, and I told a trainee in front of Matson, do your job here. Don't get involved in this fucking craziness. Don't worry about that shit. You will have their support. Don't worry about this stuff. Don't get involved in the bullshit. Don't listen to the rumors. Don't play the games. Go out there, fucking do your job. And Matson said, that's right. He goes, look, don't let all this crap, and a deputy throwing a temper tantrum do anything. You go out there and you do your job. But
I'm talking about the shit talk, like what's in that.
Sir, I haven't been talking shit, and if you ask even my
I'm just
trainees
asking
who
you,
sit
I
next
want
to
hear
me,
an answer from you.
I-
Personally, I don't have time to go run around chasing down rumors. I hear shit and I just march on.
I figured that. I tell my sir,
Oh,
I'm
we
not.
read your
But
name
I
in the
wanna know,
paper and the
Cliff.
statements you're making in the paper, and we don't make
I
any
didn't make
deal with
that
that because we don't really care. We don't care.
I didn't make that comment in the paper. I made a comment on a blog, and I was really upset when I heard that Anderson took money from Nozzolino. It pissed me off. It pissed me off. I mean, Anderson hired me, but it pissed me off when I heard that.
What? You didn't take money from Rosalino this time around.
No,
It was during his
it was,
congressional-
Yeah, before he knew what he was.
But I mean, I had stood there in the hallway with Anderson when he was talking about it being the Beltway sniper and stuff, and it did. I was like, I can't believe he would do that. It pissed me off. It's still, I don't think that was right.
And I
But
don't
that
care-
has nothing
yeah.
to do with you guys. I mean,
No,
that
it
has
doesn't.
nothing
That's
to
what I was
do
going to say.
with
I
you
don't
guys.
care about that. I guess my point is Cliff, you always say, I don't say anything, I don't get involved with politics, I don't do this, I don't do that. You do. And there's other people apparently who come to the sheriff in the last few days of saying, hey, go talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so, because Porter, is saying this. And the problem is, Cliff, is like, why? You love doing your job, do your job.
Did you read the memo I put out, Cliff, after Cole and Gerhard left?
Oh, yeah.
What did I say in the memo at the end?
Just do your job.
Yeah.
I mean, sir, I've said that. I told that to Chuck. Sir, I don't believe I screwed up. I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm sorry that I made you feel that way, sir. You guys have always had my back. I remember a time in particular when the Undersheriff was an LT and had my back. I have no negative stuff as far as, I've been pissed at my bosses. I mean, I've been upset at my wife. I mean, I've been mad at people that I've been told I got to do things I don't like, I mean, but not like, you know what I'm saying? Not like, I'm happy here. I get treated great here. Always have. And I'm sorry that I did this. I've yelled at people for doing stupid shit and said that they were screwing up by doing this and have scolded them for, so it is.
First, you've scolded them and you stopped for doing exactly the same thing that you just
Yes.
did.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Kind of hypocritical, isn't it?
It is. I didn't mean to be a hypocrite. I didn't mean it like that. And I'm sad that I had a lot of respect didn't, man. I did not mean for this to be the way it was. I did not. I know it was stupid, but I didn't mean for it to be the way it is. I love my job. I love working hard. This office has always had my back, and I believe I've had the office's back. I love training new guys. I feel like I've been doing a great job. I've been told that I'm doing well with the new guys. And one of the things guys have asked me, what do you think? I say, psh, knock that shit off right at the bud.
What do you think what?
One of my trainees' fathers was going to be a campaign manager or something, and I told him we don't have that discussion. Done. We don't have that discussion.
I want you to write a memo as to your conversation.
Okay.
Based on what you exactly. Obviously, I have Tammy's memo.
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to write what you know you said. Just because I think it's only fair that I have your memo and I have her memo. But understand, I clearly know what you said in here, and I won't. You know, and there's been 2 or 3 of us in here.
Ma'am, I wouldn't try to change. I'm not going to try to, and I'm not trying to say that Tammy isn't accurate. I'll take whatever punishment comes with, with this. I don't want to, I'm not saying Tammy isn't accurate. The part about the January thing is there's a little bit of stuff left out, but I didn't have this conversation. I didn't put much thought into this conversation, clearly, but I'll do the best I can. But I would never say that Tammy's being dishonest.
That's what worries me, but I guess it's irrelevant at this point. You said what you said. You didn't put much thought into it, as you said. You admit that. And, so which means that you don't care. You're so quick to just...
Ma'am, I do care.
But you're so quick to fly off at the tongue.
Did somebody tell you that come January we won't have to do, or you guys won't have to do cold cases or anything?
We covered that.
That's not actually what
I'm just asking yes or no.
No.
I'm sure read this. Because that's what the job's about. Not bullshit like you spouted off there.
And I've had letters like that. I know, sir, I love...
That's what it's about.
I agree. I'm sorry.
You have anything, Chief?
Yeah, I just want to say, Cliff, you said a while back that you were worried about your job here, and I don't know whether you'll have to be worried about it or not, but I'm worried that you're going to try to undo everything that we've been working to do here, getting patrol and investigations where it is, and I don't want to have to worry about that you're out there talking to other people. I know. I'm just saying that next time you decide, because of whatever reason, just to spout off like that to a trainee, to another guy on the team, to another guy in patrol, to a supervisor, or whatever's going on, and trying to undo what we're all working to accomplish here, I got an issue with that. And if I find out about it, and I don't know whether you're going to have to worry about it or not, but if I hear about it again, you're going to have to worry about it.
Understood, sir. I give you my word. I've learned a lesson.
And if somebody asks a question about follow-up you did, or not even follow-up you did, hey, can you help me out with this, or can you tell me about this? That simple question, I don't see how it has any political bearing at all, or prompts, or prompts that kind of comment, or anything that has to do with Saturday or beyond, or whatever happens next year. We got a job to do now, and that's what I plan to do until I'm no longer here.
Sir, I just got to thank you from Sarkeesian for doing exactly what you're saying. He had a request, I jumped on it. He sent a thank you to my sergeant. Sir, I screwed up. I'm not saying I didn't screw up. I screwed up, but I'm as dedicated as the day is long to this office. I love this office. I feel like I've had support. I'm sorry that I disappointed you guys. I screwed up. I know that I know I can't fix it. I know I cannot do it again. and I know that I bought whatever ticket this brings. I get it. I hope that...
I sang your praises a couple times in staff about your DUI enforcement, DUID enforcement.
Sir, I love
I've done that in front of the other guys down in staff, down in briefing while you were sitting there.
Yeah, you've always... Guys,
So,
I
don't make me
feel
turn around and
unsupported.
look like an idiot because
I'm
I
sorry.
do that and then you turn around and you do something like this.
I screwed up. This is stupid. Stupid. I can't undo it, so I don't know, except to say, except to do what you tell me to do, and not to do it again. And to do whatever, and keep just take with whatever, I don't know what else to do except not to do it again and to not go bitching and moaning when I get my punishment.
Yeah, the only thing I can echo is, you read that, you even cited what he said in that memo, but basically all it boils down to, when we're at work, you're in a patrol environment, just do your job.
I agree.
That's all you have to do, is just do your job, and then you can avoid all this stuff.
I agree, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sorry that you had to be brought into this, and I'm sorry, ma'am. If you can, ma'am, you do know me. You'd have to know.
I thought I did. I thought I did. You're
No,
right.
ma'am, come on now.
It just makes me, I'll tell you, the human side of this, not the undersheriff, side of this, human side, it's like I sit so often anymore and think about people that I have given every ounce of support to, and that, and then when something like this happens, it
betrays your trust. It betrays
that, because it's kind of like,
I'm sorry.
gee, didn't know he hated this
Ma'am, I
office
don't.
and how we run this office so much that he can't wait for January to come around. And it's like, I can truly say, Cliff, I've come to work every day. There's a lot of things that I'm guilty of and mistakes I've made, but I come to work every day knowing that I have placed this office first, sometimes at the sacrifice of all kinds of things.
Ma'am, I've worked
My
with you.
personal life, everything else. And when I have people who I've had a world of respect for, and I've done nothing, and he's done nothing but support you, and he's absolutely, from my understanding, even though I don't even know the whole story,
Yeah, no, he's
has
been
done nothing to
100%. support
support you. And then, because the message that you send to Tammy or whoever else stands by and hears it is, wow,
I betrayed your guys' trust with that, not on purpose, man, but I'm sorry. And I'm ashamed. I'll do the memo and whatever happens, and I'm sorry. I hope you guys will let me continue to be an employee here. I love this job. I didn't mean this the way it sounded.
I honestly, I want you to be sorry for what you said and not sorry that you got caught.
I am sorry for what I said, and I'm sorry for the opinion you guys now have of me, and I'm sorry for the opinion Tammy has of me.
I don't know
I
what
haven't
I don't know
run
what her
around talking
opinion is
shit.
of you. She doesn't, that's the thing about Tammy. She just tells the facts. She's just doing her
Yeah.
job. She doesn't list her
Yeah,
opinion.
she's... I'm sorry.
All right. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Do you want me to have the number right away, man? You want me to sit down and type it now, or
I'll leave that to
When you
you
come
to make
back.
a decision.
on Tuesday, sir?
Yeah, go ahead and knock it out now. Thanks, Cliff.
Thanks, Cliff.
Ma'am, I haven't been...
Huh?
I have not been running around talking shit.
Okay.
That is not a true statement. That is not occurred.
Okay. You know what, Cliff? When you look me in the eye and you tell me something, I trust that. So, I have to trust that until that, changes, till somebody proves that wrong. And I honestly hope, looking at you, that that's not the case.
It's not going to get proven on, man.
All right.
And this won't happen again if you guys will place your trust in me again. And I do like working cases. I don't shit on my victims. I like complicated cases.
That's what I've been trying to get to the point of. That's what I kept trying to draw you back to, is it's about cases and the victims.
I like doing that. I enjoy doing that.
But I'll tell you, if somebody read that, you wouldn't know it.
No, I know. They'd think I was a bitter jerk.
I don't know about bitter. They just think that you were somebody that really didn't care about the victims.
But I do. And I do. I go out there and I seek out good cases and I try to and I hang charges on the guys and I dig for shit and I like doing that. So I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Where do I turn my producer?
It's gonna be here. Throw it in King's box for right now, okay?